Hello, this is Shane from Shane's Books and Review, and I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be talking about Woken Furies, a book by Richard K. Morgan. Not a whole lot I can say about this book that's going to be in the good, but I did read it. I told you I would, so it's done. That's the only reason why I finished this book. I've actually remembered the reason why I did not finish it whenever I first attempted to read it years ago. But anyway, let's get into the review. First off, this is going to be more of an overview. There's going to be some spoilers intermixed through here, but really that's not going to be any great loss because in my humble opinion, this book is kind of weak. Whenever it opens up on Harlan's world, Takashi is, of course, reawoke. It's been a long time since his last foray, as it were, and he's kind of not happy about it. I just don't even know where to start with this because authors have responsibilities. The responsibilities are to the characters that they're writing. And I feel like this book really wasn't done that well that way. And the reason why I feel like it wasn't done well that way is, let's say that you're writing a book and it's about a priest or a preacher, somebody that's really a fervent believer in the faith. You're not going to throw lewd sexual scenes in on that priest, and you're also not going to have him using language, because that wouldn't be true to that character. And in my mind, Takashi is more of a detective type character, and he just wasn't really detecting that much in this book until the very end. There were a few things that were kind of noteworthy in the book, but there wasn't enough genuine content to balance the book from the things that were detractful from the book, such as previously mentioned, lewd sexual scenes. I mean, it's borderline smut is what it amounts to. The descriptions that were in there, there's no way I would let a child of mine of any age read that. And with this, it just wasn't needed. It didn't add anything to the story. It's not like this is a inherent, he's been chasing one person and finally they're united. No. It was that every female in this book was throwing themselves 9 ways from Saturday and or Sunday to him. In my opinion, it felt like lazy writing. Quite really it did. And there's more reasons why I say that too. It's not just that. It's not just the sex. It's moreover, there's all these little details that were sprinkled through the book, such as like with the decom person. Her entire team gets destroyed in the front half of the book, and the whole reason why she's hiding and this Quellcrest Falconer is coming up to the surface is because she doesn't want to have to deal with the pain of experiencing the loss being replayed into her mind as it happened. And towards the end of the book, it's because he mentioned one name, she pops out of this torpor and becomes who she is again, which really, let's pick up the proverbial rug, shove everything under it that we were writing, and just forget it. Don't worry about it. It didn't happen. Really. And there was other things like that too. There was all these little details about the decom stuff that went back and forth and almost contradicted itself. I really wasn't that happy with this book. Now, you might think that I'm being unfair because I felt like the second one and the first one were really good sci-fi reads. And that's kind of accurate. The first one was a noir to me. The second one had these just amazingly fantastic displays of sci-fi writing. And the third one, it's not that there wasn't any of that from the first or the second, but his sexual play was the predominant feature to the book to me. And that shouldn't be what that kind of genre where you establish a character in the previous 2 books all of a sudden it goes from being slightly promiscuous to that's really the only thing he does in the book. Anyhow, would I recommend you guys going out and spending your money on it? Probably not so much. And I hate to say that, but I believe in being fair and open and honest, and my honest opinion of this book is it's not that great of a sequel. And in fact, if I could go back to before I read this one, so I read the first one and the second one and then just stop right there so that Takashi remains what I thought he was in my mind, that would be awesome. So if any of you guys out there have a time machine and you can send me back to say, hey dude, don't read that book, I've already made the video for you. Just skip it. That would be cool. Because it almost tarnished what I thought of that character. No, there's no almost. It did tarnish what I think of that character and the whole universe together, because there's this phenomenon that's happening in his books where there's this female character that is completely downtrodden, but she can manage to make her way out of said things until Takashi either does some type of sexual thing, or again, the same character type in the third book where there was all this sex with that one character that was so downtrodden, but not as that character, as somebody else in her body. Kind of makes you think about what his view of women really is, how he views them. Anyway, and it's not only is it that it bothered me on that level, there's also the whole demoralization of women in that book in that way. Now, I'm not a social warrior. I'm not somebody that's that way. I'm not wired that way. But I just want to let you guys know that that book is just, it's got so many strikes against it, right? Anyhow, let's move on a little bit. So we know that Harlan's World is pretty much where Takashi was raised. And there's these floating orbitals that are mentioned throughout the series. And this was another thing that was kind of weak on the writing aspect. And it kind of aggravated me in a way, because this angel fire that comes out is supposed to be a fireworks display. So they get these balloons, they send them up, they get shot by the angel fire, and then there's these miraculous displays of light and color, and it reflects through the ocean and all this. But instead of it staying what it was, towards the end it becomes something else. Instead of it destroying everything, it's actually recording everything and just removing it from our plane of existence. The Martian machines are trying to figure out ways to put the human minds back into things. That's the reason why Quest Falconer came back around, was this woman that's so downtrodden, that's, in my mind anyhow, not having the greatest day. She is the perfect template for this mind, and it gets put in her from the Martian satellite. I mean, there's far-fetched sci-fi that's really enjoyable. There is far-fetched sci-fi that's well wrote, but not so enjoyable. There's hard fiction or hard sci-fi where it's really detailed and really goes into things. And this was just none of it. This was just what it was. I felt like it was like a contractual agreement that he had to finish the book. He used some extra things he had laying around from the previous two books, strung that story together, and was done. It was a disappointment for me. But I want to know what you guys think if you have read it, or if you plan on reading it. Let me know down there in that description. Now, let's move away from that. I mean, there was all these things. I mean, it had all the elements of a book. It had a beginning, a peak, and an end. I don't know. I mean, I know it seems like a somber, almost, rest in peace type video. And I'm sorry for that, but I can't really get excited about this book after I've read it. I tried giving it a second go, because maybe it was that I was in a bad place. Maybe mentally I wasn't where I needed to be whenever I was reading the book. But no, the second time I read it, I felt the same way. So I've read it 2.5 times now. And the second time that I read it, I was much, much more critical than I was the first time. There was that whole thing with the Martians trying to put people in other people's minds so that they could still live. All right, so that's kind of cool. There was an element of Kovacs having to fight himself again, but this time it was a younger version of Kovacs versus older version of Kovacs, because he got double sleeved from the Harlan family. And might I add, if I were to go up against my 18-year-old to 22-year-old self, that would not go well for this me, because I'm older, and sure, I'm a little bit wiser, but that younger me would not like the older me, that's for sure. And he would be very mischievous in his undoing of this person. And that was such a letdown the way that ended. I mean, yeah, sure, there was this kind of cool thing that the girl that I keep mentioning that was downtrodden and had two people in her ended up getting rid of the younger co-backs. Like, oh, well, I can make it do this, and I need to explain it away. I don't know. So I think I'm done talking about this book. Yep, done. Now, on to a lighter note. The next books we're going to read is from Arthur C. Doyle, however you want to look at it, and it's going to be Sherlock. I have never read Sherlock, and believe it or not, I actually am super excited about this because I really absolutely love that whole genre of detective, not so much the cop or house mystery or whatever you want to call it, because there's tons of those genres, and I don't mean to disrespect, I just don't know their names. But I look so forward to reading that, and I'm going to start at the very beginning. I have had a couple of my friends that have picked up a book, like a series, and start in the middle, and then find out that no, that wasn't indeed the first book. So I did a little bit of research first. And I know that in this first one, which is A Study in Scarlet, that is where Watson and Sherlock meet up. So I'll be really curious to see the interplays there, see how it is wrote. I've heard that it is a most phenomenal, phenomenal character, and in fact should be thought of as the archetypal type of protagonist for being a detective type person. Super excited about that. Now, I'm going to go, but you guys know what to do. There's a subscribe button. You should click on it if you're new to the little family, as it were. And then also the bell. Don't forget about the bell, because YouTube hasn't done a great job of letting people know here lately when new videos come up. If you guys happen to find a good book in between now and the next video, make sure you let me know about it down there in the description. I'll read it along with you, and we can talk back and forth about them. Be happy to do that. Beyond that, you guys have a great day, and I will see you later.